I'm Rachel, and my sister Kylie thought she could steal my identity and get away with it, until I made sure the entire family saw her unravel in public. Revenge wasn't loud, it was legal, and it started the moment she bragged about her brand new Lexus, bought with my name. Before we get into how this drama exploded, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I'd love to know how far this story travels. The rooftop cafe was perfect. White umbrellas flapped gently in the Miami breeze, sunlight glittered on the skyline, and the Mimosa Tower stood tall in the center of our table like it was the guest of honor. It should have been a celebration, my birthday, my moment, but Kylie always knew how to make an entrance. "I can't believe I'm only 20 and already riding in style," she said with that sing-song voice she reserves for announcing victories. "Some of us just win early, huh?" I looked up from my black coffee, straight, no sugar, just like I liked it, and forced a smile. My friends exchanged quick glances, clearly unsure whether to laugh or cringe. Kylie leaned back in her seat like she owned the sky, keys to a Lexus dangling off her French manicured finger. "Don't worry, sis. One day you'll make it too." There it was. That smile she wore when she knew she'd just embarrassed me. That sugar-laced cruelty wrapped in fake sisterly concern. You ever have someone humiliate you and call it bonding? I took a long sip from my mug and stayed silent, letting the bitterness settle on my tongue. My best friend Lana gave me a look from across the table. A silent "Are you okay?" I nodded barely. "I mean," Kylie went on, "not everyone can balance school and business this well, but I guess I've always had a head for numbers." That stung more than I let on, because I knew Kylie hadn't even finished her business degree. Dropped out sophomore year and spent the next 2 years hopping from boutique job to influencer opportunities. But no one here knew that. They only saw the designer bag, the luxury car, and the high-gloss photos of her sipping espresso in Europe. "Anyway," she chirped, "let's order. Rachel, you good with splitting the bill?" She winked. "You don't mind, right?" The words knocked the breath out of me. I had been working 10-hour shifts the past week to make rent. I hadn't even had time to buy myself a birthday gift, and now I was supposed to chip in for her champagne. Everyone laughed nervously, unsure whether it was a joke. I stood up slowly and felt the chair scrape against the stone floor. "I'm good," I said. My voice was calm, but I felt my pulse in my ears. "Thanks for coming, everyone. Enjoy brunch." I walked out, heels clicking like thunder on the rooftop deck. Behind me, I heard Lana call my name, but I didn't stop. I just kept walking, clutching my purse tighter, jaw locked. I didn't cry. Not then, not in front of her, not after what she'd just done. Because I knew deep down something was off. That car, her clothes, her sudden glow-up. It didn't make sense. But I had no idea yet just how far Kylie had gone, or what she'd done to my life behind the scenes. I didn't cry on the drive home. But the moment my apartment door clicked shut behind me, I exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for years. The silence hit different. There was no city noise in my little third-floor walk-up. Just the soft whir of my fan, the hum of my fridge, and the weight of humiliation pressing against my ribs. I dropped my purse on the kitchen table, kicked off my shoes, and sank into the same squeaky armchair I'd bought second-hand when I moved here. The one piece of furniture I'd splurged on was a small wooden bookshelf, and it still smelled like lemon polish. A little reminder that I had built this life with my own 2 hands. No Lexus, no fake it till you make it, just me. From the balcony, I could see the edge of the Miami skyline glowing orange as the sun sank. I stepped outside, my journal tucked under one arm, and curled my legs beneath me on the metal patio chair. I opened to a fresh page. "I earned everything, I just wish someone noticed." The words looked small on the page, but they held so much weight. Every late shift, every skipped vacation, every time I'd said no to something I wanted so I could keep climbing. I remembered sophomore year, when I was working 2 jobs and Kylie was off shopping for prom dresses with Mom's credit card. I remembered how she never had to explain her C's, but I had to justify my B+ like it was a failure. I thought once we grew up, that would change. But apparently, the rules still bent for Kylie. She got the shiny new BMW at 16. I got a pat on the back for buying my own used Honda. She vacationed in Turks and Caicos with friends. I picked up extra shifts to afford groceries. And yet, somehow, I was the one who ended up the punchline at my own birthday brunch. I closed my journal and pressed it to my chest, trying to keep the bitterness from swallowing me. I don't want to resent her, I whispered aloud. I really don't. But wasn't I allowed to be hurt? Kylie had always been the golden girl. The one who got the spotlight, the support, the applause, even when she didn't earn it. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one, the reliable one, the invisible one. And maybe I was tired of applauding from the sidelines while she stood center stage with borrowed feathers in her cap. I flipped the journal back open and wrote, "Someday they'll see me for who I really am." I didn't know who they were exactly. Our family, her friends, maybe the universe, maybe even myself. Because deep down, I wasn't sure I believed I mattered unless someone else said so. I sat there for a long time, letting the quiet wrap around me like a blanket. The night air had turned cooler, and the lights from neighboring buildings began flickering on. Someone down the block was playing soft guitar through an open window. The notes drifted up, bittersweet. And for a moment, I imagined a different life. One where I wasn't constantly trying to prove my worth. One where I didn't flinch every time Kylie laughed just a little too loud at my expense. But I didn't live in that world. I lived in this one, where success didn't come gift-wrapped, where the only thing I could trust was my own resilience. Inside, my phone buzzed. It was Lana. "Hey, I'm sorry about earlier. You didn't deserve that. Want to talk?" I stared at the message, fingers hovering over the keys. Part of me wanted to vent, to spill everything I'd never said aloud. But another part, the one that kept things neatly folded, told me to just smile and say I was fine. Instead, I replied, "Not tonight, just needed space. Thanks for checking in." She responded with a heart. I tucked the phone away and stared out at the horizon. Kylie's laughter still echoed in my head. "Don't worry, sis. One day you'll make it too." But here's what she didn't realize. I already had. No, I didn't have a luxury car or designer sunglasses, but I had something she didn't. Self-respect. And soon I'd have something even more powerful. Truth. 3 years later, I turned the brass key and stepped into the dream I had built from the ground up. My own villa. A real, sprawling, sun-drenched villa, not a rental, not a roommate share, not a Craigslist gamble. Mine. I took a deep breath and felt the air shift. Salt from the nearby gulf. Hints of jasmine from the garden. The scent of arrival. The floors gleamed. The windows framed the ocean like a painting, and the soft murmur of waves reached all the way up to the terrace. This was everything I had worked for: long nights, side hustles, missed holidays, second-hand furniture, and now I was standing in the reward. And yet, as my friends poured wine in the kitchen, laughter echoing off new walls, I felt a strange tightness in my chest. "You did it, Ratch!" Lana's voice snapped me back. She held out a glass, beaming. "You really did it." I took it and clinked with hers. "Took long enough." "Nah," she said, settling onto the terrace couch. "You outgrew all their noise. This," she gestured at the open sky, the sea, the quiet luxury around us, "this is what success looks like." I smiled, genuinely. For a second, I let it sink in. No more counting tips. No more hand-me-down apartments. No more swallowing my pride at birthday brunches. Just peace. The others chatted about where to hang artwork, the best grocery delivery services in Sarasota, and which local wine club I needed to join now that I was a lady of leisure. I laughed, feeling the warmth of being seen, not as Kylie's older sister, not as the background act, but as Rachel, the woman who made it. Still, as the sun dipped lower and pinked the sky, I slipped away for a moment and pulled out my phone. Habit. I opened Instagram, and there she was, Kylie. Sun-kissed, pouty-lipped, draped in a white linen set, lounging beneath a palm tree. In Dubai. First class only nail polish, deserve it boss babe energy. My thumb hovered over the screen. The caption was classic Kylie. Just vague enough to sound earned, just smug enough to bait compliments. Her page was a highlight reel of perfection. Candle-lit yachts in Greece, champagne towers in Paris, spa selfies, Dior shopping bags, and somehow always a new destination. I'd unfollowed her a year ago. Couldn't stand the performative luxury. But the algorithm was cruel. It knew where to hit. I clicked on her profile. Curiosity one, the girl who dropped out of college, who once cried because our parents cut off her nail salon budget, who said budgeting was for boring people. How was she in Dubai? I frowned and zoomed in on the photo. The bag. The same exact one I saw in a Nordstrom ad last month. Limited edition. $5,000. Did she win the lottery? Get a mysterious sugar daddy. Land a brand deal. I backed out of the app, heart pacing faster than I wanted to admit. I wasn't jealous, okay, maybe a little, but mostly I was confused. I knew Kylie. She couldn't budget a latte, let alone fly private. Something didn't add up. Back inside, Lana was arranging a cheese board with military precision. "You okay?" she asked, noticing my distracted expression. "Yeah," I lied. I didn't want to say what I was thinking. That somewhere in my gut something felt off, that my sister's lifestyle didn't align with reality. That despite her digs and gloating, I never really believed she had it together. And now I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't winning early. Maybe she was borrowing someone else's win. I sat down, staring out over the ocean, letting the thoughts settle. What if the story Kylie sold the world wasn't hers? What if she hadn't just humiliated me that day on the rooftop, but had stolen more than a moment? The first strange thing happened on a Wednesday morning, right as I was settling into my new routine. Coffee on the terrace, ocean breeze, soft jazz in the background. I'd been feeling proud lately. Grounded. Like I'd finally grown out of that old shadow Kylie used to cast over my life. But then my phone buzzed. "Please confirm your identity to authorize trust account 402A. At first I thought it was a scam. One of those generic phishing messages pretending to be a bank. I almost deleted it. But something about the wording made me pause. A trust account. My name. And an account number far too specific for spam. My stomach tightened. I clicked the message. To proceed with the wire transfer, Rachel Morgan must verify. Full legal name, address on file, last 4 digits of SSN. I whispered into my empty kitchen, barely breathing. What trust? I didn't have a trust. I'd never seen one, never been told I had one, never even dreamed of something like that. And why would a wire transfer be needed? The unease I'd felt scrolling through Kylie's Dubai photos came back tenfold. Like the ground was shifting beneath me again, just like that brunch years ago, except this time the humiliation wasn't public. This was colder, deeper. A warning whispered in financial language. I dialed the bank number listed in the message, not the link. I wasn't about to walk into a scam. A recording played, then a representative picked up. "Thank you for calling Falcon Trust Services. How may I assist you?" I swallowed. "Hi. I just received a notification about confirming my identity for account 402A. I don't have a trust with you." A brief pause. "Ma'am, I'll need to verify your information to look up the account." My throat tightened. "Look, can you just tell me if my name is on file without me giving anything yet?" Another pause. Then, "Ma'am, your name is associated with the number you provided." I gripped the counter. "How is that possible?" "I can't give further details without verification, but a transfer was attempted this morning." My heart dropped into my stomach. Someone somewhere had tried to move money under my name in an account I didn't know existed. I hung up before panic swallowed me whole. My hands were shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone as I searched online for legal help. I needed someone who understood fraudulent accounts, identity misuse, anything that could explain what on earth was happening. That's when I found her. Ava Green, financial crime attorney, 5-star reviews, specialized in identity fraud and document forensics. Her photo showed a woman with calm eyes and a no-nonsense posture, exactly the kind of person you call when your world is tilting. I didn't even hesitate. I booked the earliest available appointment. Ava's office in downtown Tampa looked like something out of a minimalist magazine. Sleek white walls, glass doors, soft lighting. Everything felt deliberate, controlled. I envied the peace of it. She welcomed me with a handshake firm enough to make me feel like someone finally had a grip on this mess. "Rachel, I'm Ava. Come in. Tell me what brought you here." I sat across from her, trying to steady my breathing. "I received a notification about a trust account I've never opened. They said my name was on file, and there was an attempted transfer." Ava's eyebrows drew together, sharp, calculating. "Do you have any reason to believe someone close to you could have accessed your personal information?" My chest tightened. The image hit me fast, Kylie on that rooftop, keys swinging from her finger, smirk underneath flawless makeup. I pushed the thought away. I'm not sure. Ava nodded slowly, studying me. Someone used your legal identity to open an account. That doesn't happen by accident, and trust accounts are particularly complex. You don't just stumble into one. A chill ran up my spine. Without breaking eye contact, she slid a stack of forms toward me. I'll need your authorization to begin a deep records search, she said. Banking activity, leases, credit pulls, government filings, all of it. If someone's using your identity, we'll find the trail. My hand trembled as I signed. Each signature felt like I was stepping deeper into a story I didn't understand yet. Ava clipped the papers neatly and gave me a nod of conviction. Rachel, she said, something smells off here, but we're going to get answers. I breathed out slowly, grateful and terrified in equal measure. Because deep down, somewhere beneath 3 years of quiet success, I knew something wasn't just off. Something was about to come crashing down. I don't know what I expected when Ava called the next evening, maybe a simple update, maybe reassurance that it was all a misunderstanding. Something small, something fixable. But the tone in her voice when she said, "Rachel, can you come in?" told me the truth before I even drove to Tampa. Her office felt colder this time, or maybe it was just me. Ava had already gathered several thick folders on her desk, papers clipped neatly, tabs sticking out like warning flags. She didn't bother with small talk. "Rachel," she said softly, "you should sit down." My knees felt loose, like they didn't want to hold me, but I sat. Ava opened the first folder. "I started with the trust account alert you received. What I found is more extensive than I anticipated." She slid a document toward me. I stared at the first line. "Applicant, Rachel Morgan SSN ending in 14XX address, your previous apartment." I blinked. "But I never opened this." "I know," Ava said. "And this isn't the only one." She opened the second folder. "This is a luxury condo lease in Brickell. Monthly payment, $5,700. Application approved under your name." My heart punched the inside of my ribs. "That's not mine, I've never lived in Brickell." "I figured," Ava said gently. Another folder opened. "This is an auto lease for a Lexus RX, purchased 2 years ago." My breath caught in my throat. A Lexus. A sharp, nauseating thought slammed into me. That rooftop brunch, Kylie twirling the keys, smirking at me. No, my brain whispered. No way. "Someone forged your documents," Ava continued, unaware of the storm in my chest. "Driver's license copies, pay stubs, bank statements, even your signature, very convincingly." Her words became a blur, muffled by the ringing in my ears. "Rachel," she said more firmly, "the total debt accumulated under your name is just under $300,000. The room tilted. My hand flew to my mouth. $300,000. Ava nodded, face steady but sympathetic. "If we don't act quickly, creditors will begin coming after you. Legally, you're the responsible party until we prove fraud." A tiny crack formed inside me, sharp, precise. A crack in the belief that my life was stable, that anything was secure. My voice was barely there. Who would even know how to do this?" Ava hesitated. For the first time since I met her, she looked unsure. "Identity theft typically comes from someone close," she said. "Someone with access to your mail, your documents, or your social security information." The words hung there like a noose. I stared at the papers, the Lexus, the lavish leases, the travel costs, the accounts, the signature that looked so much like mine. Ava pushed another sheet toward me, a comparison grid of matching handwriting samples. "Whoever did this worked hard to make it believable." My throat closed. I could barely breathe. "If the total is correct," Ava continued, "you are currently liable for every dollar unless we move fast." Something inside me shattered then, not dramatically, not loudly, just a quiet break. A realization that tasted metallic on my tongue. "Someone stole my life," I whispered. Ava rested her hand on the desk, not quite touching mine, but close enough to ground me. "I know this is overwhelming," she said. "But listen to me carefully. We can fix this. I'm going to help you protect your name, your finances, and your future, but you need to prepare yourself emotionally for what comes next." I stared at her. "What does that mean?" Ava's eyes softened with something like pity, something she'd been holding back. "It means this wasn't random," she said. "It wasn't a stranger. Someone who knows you very well did this deliberately." A cold wave washed over me from scalp to spine. Someone close, someone trusted. Someone who wore designer clothes she never paid for. Someone who traveled the world with no job. Someone who looked me in the eyes and said, "Some of us just win early." I couldn't say it aloud. I couldn't shape the name yet. All I could do was sit there, trembling, while Ava closed the folder with a soft, decisive click. "We'll protect your identity," she said. "But first, we need to protect you." I nodded slowly, though my world had already cracked open. Because deep down, I knew exactly who had stolen my name. And it was the last person I ever wanted to suspect. There's a quiet that settles in when anger burns out. Not peace. Not yet, but something clearer, sharper. Like standing in the eye of the storm and realizing you can finally see. After I left Ava's office, I didn't drive straight home. I sat in my car, keys in the ignition, watching the sunset smear orange and violet across the Tampa skyline. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there. She really thought I'd never find out. That line kept circling in my mind like a song lyric I didn't ask for. Because I knew who it was now, I didn't need more evidence. The breadcrumbs weren't even subtle anymore. The car. The fake pay stubs. The apartment under my old address, an address Kylie had helped me move out of. She knew every inch of my personal life. She had access to my file cabinet, my birth certificate, my social security number, my passwords. She'd helped me organize my files during one of her weekend visits. At the time, I'd called it sisterly bonding. Now I knew better. Back in my Sarasota condo, I pulled off my heels, tied my hair up, and sat at the kitchen island with Ava's folders spread out like a crime scene. And that's what this was, wasn't it? A crime. One that wore expensive perfume and designer shoes. I opened my laptop. Password, same as always. A small part of me winced, how easy it had probably been for her. But this time I was the one watching. I began compiling everything. First, the emails. Any confirmations I didn't recognize, leasing documents I'd never signed, messages about accounts I didn't open. They were all there, buried under marketing junk and subscription offers. Then the credit reports. I hadn't looked in months. I'd been busy buying a home, managing new responsibilities, living my life. But there it was, account after account, address after address, cards I never used, transactions I didn't make, flights I didn't book. I printed every page. Midnight came and went, but I didn't stop. I highlighted forged signatures that didn't quite match mine, collected timestamps, cross-referenced charges. Each highlight felt like a thread in a net I was finally weaving, not to trap her, but to protect me. Ava had already started filing emergency legal motions to freeze suspicious accounts. She'd warned me, if Kylie or whoever's behind this realizes you're onto them, they might try to drain what's left. So we moved first. Paperwork was filed by 10 a.m. the next morning, court order pending, credit agencies notified, fraud alerts triggered. My inbox began flooding with confirmations. And still I kept working. I made a spreadsheet, something that used to calm me when I worked in admin years ago. Simple, clean, organized. Each entry, what was taken, what it was used for, the fake documents used the real damage done. I filled cell after cell, line after line, watching it all take form. Not just the money, but the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal no one saw coming. Around 2 a.m., I paused long enough to reheat some soup and pour myself a glass of water. My hands were stiff from typing. My eyes ached. But I felt stable. Not good, not okay, not yet, but stable. Like my power was no longer trapped in silence. When you've been gaslit long enough, truth feels like oxygen. You don't realize you've been choking until the air rushes back in. I looked around my condo, the polished floors, the view, the photos of real friends on my fridge. I had built this. Me, without shortcuts, without stealing. And no one was going to take it from me. I clicked save on the spreadsheet and emailed Ava a copy with the subject line. Evidence, full master file. Then I leaned back in my chair and whispered to no one. She came for the wrong person. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that family parties are like pressure cookers. Everyone brings their own tension, seals it under smiles, and pretends the food will make it all better. Grandpa Harold's 80th was no different. Naples in March was balmy, breezy, and full of retirement bliss. The community clubhouse had been decked out with golden balloons, framed photo collages of Grandpa through the decades, and a buffet line that curved like a question mark around the room. I arrived 10 minutes late on purpose. Let them feel my absence before they noticed my arrival. Inside, I spotted familiar faces, second cousins, gray tants, old neighbors who hadn't seen me since I was Bob and Marion's older daughter. Everyone was hugging, clinking plastic wine glasses, complimenting the deviled eggs. And then I saw her, Kylie, in a flowing silk dress the color of desert sand, hair styled in perfect glossy waves, laughing loudly as she reenacted some story about her 5-star escape to Morocco. She was performing. Every movement, every head tilt, every fake modest shrug when someone asked about her latest trip. "Oh, Morocco was divine," she said. "And the Hammam Spa changed my life." She hadn't noticed me yet. And for a moment, I watched her, not as a sister, but like a stranger might. Someone who didn't know what I now knew. To the crowd, she looked like she always had, successful, magnetic, charmed. But to me, she looked small, loud in all the wrong ways, shimmering with a shine I could now see right through. I grabbed a glass of water from the drink table and made my way around the room, greeting family members, trading polite laughs, letting them say, "Look at you, Sarasota suits you." And then it happened. Kylie spotted me. Her smile faltered just for a second, but she recovered quickly, waving a little too enthusiastically. "Ratch," she chirped, voice high. "You made it." I smiled. "Of course, wouldn't miss Grandpa's big day." She hugged me with arms that barely touched my back, then stepped away to study me. "You look elevated." "Thank you," I said simply. She opened her mouth to say something else, but I turned before she could finish and walked toward Grandpa Harold, who was holding court near the cake table. His face lit up the second he saw me. "There's my girl," he said, wrapping me in a hug that actually meant something. "Took you long enough." I laughed. "You're only 80 once, Grandpa." "True, and I'm thrilled you're here. I keep telling everyone how proud I am of you. That house of yours, Hugh. You always did run on grit." That word. Grit. I could have cried. Instead, I kissed his cheek and smiled. "You always believed in me." "Of course I did," he said, eyes gleaming. "You're the real deal." Across the room, I felt Kylie watching. The mic announcement came soon after. Uncle Gerald tapped the glass. "All right, everyone, before we get to the cake, let's hear from some of the grandkids." People clapped. Someone pushed the mic toward Kylie. She didn't hesitate. Kylie took the mic like it was an audition, thanking Grandpa for teaching her to live life boldly, for encouraging her passion for global experiences, and ended with a saccharine, "Here's to 80 more, Grandpa." Applause. She handed the mic back. And then Uncle Gerald offered it to me. "Rachel, want to say a few words?" Kylie's head turned. I smiled and stepped forward. "Hi, everyone," I began, my voice calm and even. "So good to see all these familiar faces. I won't take long, just wanted to say how much Grandpa means to me." I glanced at him. "When I was 14, Grandpa told me something that stuck. He said, 'The world may not hand you things, kid, but if you work hard and stay honest, you'll sleep better than any rich man with secrets.'" A few people chuckled softly. I looked back at the crowd. "I finally bought that mansion by the sea," I said, letting the sentence breathe. Gasps. Applause. Lana, from across the room, winked at me. I kept going. "It's quiet there, peaceful, and every time I walk through those doors, I think he was right. Honest work does pay off, eventually." I looked directly at Kylie. Her jaw tightened. The crowd clapped again, louder this time. Grandpa stood and clapped too, walking over and placing a hand on my shoulder. "Always knew you'd shine brighter," he said. Kylie didn't speak for the rest of the night. She left before the cake was cut. And me, I stayed, smiling, standing in the glow of quiet victory. It was 2 days after the birthday party when the knock came. More like pounding, actually. I had just settled into the quiet of my living room, a mug of peppermint tea in one hand and a spreadsheet printout in the other. Ava and I were set to review final documentation that week: fraud affidavits, court filings, asset freezes. Things were finally moving. Then came the sound. 3 urgent, angry bangs on my front door. I stood up slowly, set the mug down, and checked the peephole. Kylie. Hair pulled into a messy bun. No makeup. Tracksuit. No filter, no performance. Just fury and panic stretched across her face like a mask coming undone. I opened the door but didn't step aside. She shoved past me anyway. Kylie, I started, but she was already in the living room, waving a stack of papers in the air like evidence at a trial. You ruined me, she shrieked. I closed the door behind her. Excuse me, I said, my voice low, measured. She whirled to face me, eyes wild, mascara streaked. You froze my accounts. Do you know what you've done? My card got declined at Whole Foods, in public. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. That must have been difficult. Shopping with stolen money can be tricky. Her mouth dropped open like I'd slapped her. You're being dramatic, she said. This was just a misunderstanding. I walked into the kitchen, poured the rest of my tea down the sink. I didn't want to drink anything while she was in my house. Which part? The fake trust account, the forged lease, the Lexus? She turned red. I was going to pay it back, she snapped. Eventually, you wouldn't even have noticed. I laughed quietly, bitterly. $300,000, Kylie. She started pacing. You don't get it. I needed to look successful. Everyone expected it. You always got the praise for working hard, being the serious one. I had to shine somehow. So you used my name. She stopped. For a second, something flickered in her eyes, regret maybe, or just exhaustion. You have everything, she whispered. The house, the job, the respect, and I couldn't keep faking it anymore. That doesn't justify theft. She shoved the papers at me. Legal filings, bank account freezes, pending charges. Ava had moved faster than I realized. I need you to fix this, she said, voice trembling now. Take it back. Drop it. Tell your lawyer this was a misunderstanding. I looked at her, really looked, my sister. The one who mocked my second-hand clothes, the one who smirked while I scraped to pay rent, the one who humiliated me at my birthday brunch and walked away like she'd won, now shaking in the ruins of her own lies. I sat down on the couch and folded my hands. No, Kylie blinked. What? I'm not fixing what you broke. You stole my name, my credit, my identity. You used me, Kylie. I was desperate, she snapped. So was I replied. You think building a life from scratch was easy, watching you get handed everything while I fought for scraps. She backed up a step. I stood. I didn't come here to fight, she said. I came here because you're my sister. You should have remembered that before you forged my signature. Her face twisted. She looked at the floor, at the ceiling, anywhere but me. You're really doing this, she whispered. Letting the courts handle it. I nodded once. If you want mercy, talk to my lawyer. Kylie let out a sound, half sob, half scoff. Fine, she spat. You want to play hardball, let's play. And then she was gone, door slammed, tires squealed. I walked to the window and watched her car disappear down the street. The silence left behind wasn't heavy, it was clean, like something rotten had finally been aired out. The letter looked innocent at first. White envelope. My name typed neatly in the center. No warning. No bold red stamps screaming urgent. Just a quiet clinical presence between my electric bill and a Bed Bath & Beyond flyer. But the second I slid my nail under the seal and pulled out the papers, my stomach dropped. Summons to appear in court plaintiff. Kylie Morgan defendant. Rachel Morgan claims. Fraud, defamation, emotional distress. I blinked. Read it again. Then laughed. A short, bitter sound that echoed off the kitchen walls. So this was her next move. She didn't apologize, didn't call. Didn't even pretend to take responsibility. Instead, she filed a countersuit accusing me of fraud. I flipped the page, scanning the nonsense. Kylie Morgan claims the defendant, her sister, intentionally fabricated claims of identity theft, damaging her credit, public reputation, and causing severe emotional harm. She stole my name, racked up nearly $300,000 in luxury expenses using my identity, and now she was the victim. I picked up the phone. Ava, I said the second she answered, she's suing me. Her voice was calm, too calm. I was wondering when she'd try that. I just got the notice from the court system myself. She's accusing me of fraud, I said, still holding the papers like they might catch fire. And defamation. She's bluffing, Ava replied. This is a panic move. The charges are laughable, Rachel, but it does mean we escalate. She scheduled me to come in the next morning. When I stepped into Ava's office, it felt different than before, no longer reactionary. We were in motion now, calm, coordinated, powerful. This is her attempt to regain control, Ava said, pointing to the document. But she made a mistake. By filing this, she's opened the door for everything we've compiled. Every transaction, every forged form, every lie. She pushed a fresh folder toward me. This is what we're presenting, and now we'll do it with even more weight. You're not just defending yourself. You're proving a calculated pattern of fraud, and we're going to lay it out piece by piece. I opened the folder. Inside were cleanly tabbed sections. Forged lease agreements, credit card applications with matching SSN bank transfers from my account to hers, Instagram posts with time-stamped purchases. Ava even included a timeline, color-coded, precise, showing how Kylie's trips, cars, and purchases all aligned with charges under my name. I want you to study this, she said. Not because I need you to memorize it, I'll handle that in court, but because I want you to feel something you haven't in a long time. What's that? I asked. Control. Her words hit deeper than I expected, because she was right. For so long, I'd let things slide, laughed off the digs, looked the other way when Kylie bragged too loud. Let her twist our parents around her finger while I played the responsible daughter in the background. But this wasn't a dig. This was war. When I got home, I spread the documents out across my dining table and turned on soft music. No wine, no distractions. Just me, my evidence, and the facts. And as I reviewed each item, the Lexus lease, the forged utility bills, even screenshots of Kylie in Dubai wearing jewelry I could trace back to fraudulent charges, I felt something surprising settle into my bones. Not rage, not panic, clarity. I didn't need to scream to be believed. I didn't need to convince anyone I was the victim. The truth was now its own force. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't asking to be seen. I was standing in full view. At midnight, I sent Ava a message. Subject, ready, let's go win. The courtroom was colder than I expected. Not just in temperature, but in energy, muted, tense, like the air itself was waiting. I sat at the defendant's table, my hands folded neatly in front of me, Ava by my side, her blazer crisp and her jaw set like stone. Across the aisle sat Kylie, flanked by her lawyer, an overconfident man in a blue pinstripe suit who looked like he moonlit as a reality TV judge. Kylie avoided my gaze. Her lips were pale. No glam, no gold earrings. Just a beige dress and nerves that showed in the way she twisted a tissue between her fingers like she was wringing out truth. The judge entered. Court is now in session, the bailiff said. We rose, sat, and then it began. Kylie's lawyer went first, painting her as a victim of a deeply personal misunderstanding. He claimed I had misinterpreted family generosity, that my accusations were fueled by sibling jealousy, and that I had sabotaged Kylie's life with public smears and baseless legal filings. A few people in the gallery shifted uncomfortably, but Ava never flinched. When it was our turn, she stood with the kind of quiet authority that makes people listen. Your Honor, she began, we are not here to debate sibling rivalry. We are here to present a clear, documented case of identity theft, one that left my client responsible for nearly $300,000 in fraudulent debt. She handed the clerk a thick binder. Exhibit A through Z, and then I took the stand. I don't remember how I made it there. My legs moved. My heart thudded. But somehow I sat, swore the oath, and faced the courtroom. Rachel, Ava said, can you explain when you first discovered something was wrong? I told them about the trust account alert, the Lexus, the leases, the accounts I never opened. I kept my voice steady even as my palms began to sweat. And what happened when you investigated further? I described Ava's findings. The matching social security numbers, the forged pay stubs, the signatures that mimicked mine but failed under forensic scrutiny. Then Ava clicked her remote and a screen lit up. Side-by-side comparisons of my signature and the forged ones, the courtroom leaned forward. And who had access to your personal documents over the last few years? I hesitated, but only for a moment. My sister, Kylie. A sharp gasp from the gallery. Kylie's lawyer objected. The judge overruled. And how did Kylie respond when you confronted her? She admitted to using my name, said she needed to look successful. That people expected her to shine. She told me she was going to pay it back, eventually. Did you give her permission to use your identity? No. Did you agree to any shared accounts, leases, or loans? No. And did you fabricate any of these claims? Absolutely not. Ava nodded. No further questions. Kylie's lawyer stood, trying to rattle me, asking if I'd ever lent her money, if I was jealous of her lifestyle, if I ever wanted what she had. I answered everything calmly, because I didn't want her life. I just wanted mine back. When Kylie took the stand, her hands shook. She tried to deny it at first, blamed confusion, shared paperwork, claimed I offered to help with her credit. But Ava brought receipts. Literally. Wire transfers that traced back to Kylie's account. Bank statements showing purchases made with stolen cards. Emails confirming luxury reservations under my name. And then the photos. Instagram posts, tagged locations. A $3,200 purse she claimed was a gift, but was bought 2 hours after a fraudulent transaction using my credit. The room was silent. Kylie's voice cracked as she looked down at the documents. I wanted to live like her, she whispered. She always had everything together. I didn't mean for it to get that bad. I didn't look away. Because in that moment, I saw her not as my sister, but as the architect of her own undoing. The judge spoke finally, voice firm and final. This court finds in favor of the defendant, Rachel Morgan. The plaintiff is found guilty of identity theft, financial fraud, and knowingly submitting false documentation. Restitution is ordered. The defendant's name is cleared. Gavel, silence, and then release. My breath came back in full. My spine straightened, not because I'd won, but because I'd survived. The courtroom emptied like a balloon slowly losing air. No shouting, no victory parade, just shuffling footsteps, hushed murmurs, and the sharp clicks of heels against marble as people returned to their lives, unburdened. But I stayed seated, just for a moment, long enough to feel the finality settle in my bones. Ava leaned over, touched my shoulder gently. "You did it!" I nodded, though the weight of it hadn't fully hit me yet. It was like standing on the shore after surviving a hurricane, everything still standing, but changed forever. I gathered my things quietly. No need to look at Kylie. She hadn't spoken since the gavel fell. Her lawyer had turned away quickly, clearly eager to distance himself from the wreckage. She just sat there, slumped and silent, staring down at her lap like she was trying to disappear into it. I walked past her without stopping. She didn't even flinch. Outside, the sky was brilliant, unforgivingly blue. The kind of Florida afternoon that made tourists fall in love with sunshine and locals grumble about heat. I let it warm my skin as the courthouse doors swung shut behind me. Ava joined me on the steps, her file in one hand, sunglasses in the other. "Well," she said, exhaling, "your name is yours again." I looked out at the horizon, the palm trees swaying under the weight of everything I'd carried for far too long. "She made her bed," I said quietly, and I finally climbed out of mine. Ava didn't smile exactly, but there was something proud in her eyes. "She underestimated you. They always do." We stood there a little longer, no celebration, no dramatic declarations, just air free and clean. In the weeks that followed, the consequences caught up to Kylie like gravity catching a falling object. Fast, unforgiving. She lost the car first, then the designer bags, then the condo lease in Brickell. Eviction notice served, her last luxury address erased like chalk in the rain. Our parents didn't know what to do with the truth. Mom cried, Dad got quiet. The golden child illusion had cracked too wide to ignore, and for once I didn't try to glue it back together. "I didn't know," Mom whispered once on the phone. "I swear, Rachel, I didn't know she was capable of this." "I know," I said, "but I was, and you didn't see that either." That silence on the other end. That was years of favoritism finally staring itself in the mirror. People in our family stopped asking about Kylie's trips. Her influencer lifestyle vanished as fast as the fraudulent funds. And for once, no one asked me how she was doing. They started asking how I was. Funny how truth changes the story. I moved forward, piece by piece, clearing up credit reports, signing final affidavits, refiling paperwork under my legal name, not the one Kylie had warped and stretched into a prop for her fantasies. I hired a financial advisor. Ava helped me rebuild everything she had touched, more secure this time. Tighter locks, smarter systems. I wasn't bitter, not anymore. There's a difference between anger and justice. Anger burns through your chest like acid. Justice clears the smoke and lets you finally breathe. One day, I caught a glimpse of Kylie at a pawn shop parking lot in Fort Myers. Same girl, different energy. Gaunt, weary, looking over her shoulder like the world might bite her back. She didn't see me. I didn't stop her because I didn't need to. She had already fallen from the pedestal she built with my name. And me? I had climbed out of the rubble and was walking toward something better with no need to look back. The knock came just after sunset. Soft, hesitant. Not the kind you'd expect from someone who used to barge through doors like they owed her an entrance. I opened it and there she was, Kylie, but not the version who wore silk dresses and perfume that smelled like debt. This Kylie had shadows under her eyes, hair pulled back without effort, and a folder clutched in both hands like it might keep her from falling apart. "Hey," she said, barely above a whisper. I didn't respond right away. I just stepped aside. She walked in slowly, like my doorway might still reject her. We stood in silence in the living room for a long moment. I didn't offer her water. I didn't ask how she'd been. I waited. Finally, she held out the folder. Inside was a resume, her real one, sparse and honest. A job application. References. A copy of her ID, this time legitimate. "I heard there's a position at your company's call center," she said, not looking at me. "Entry level, I need something." Her voice cracked on that last word. I took the folder and sat on the arm of the couch, flipping through it slowly. The silence between us was heavy but no longer hostile. "You understand this isn't a favor," I said. "You'd be an employee, not my sister, not my project." Kylie nodded quickly. "I don't expect shortcuts, I need to start over." I looked at her, really looked. She was smaller now, not in stature but in pride, and maybe that wasn't a bad thing. "You start Monday," I said, closing the folder. 9 to 5, standard hours, you report to Marcy, not me. You show up late once you're out." Kylie swallowed hard and nodded again. "Thank you," she said, not softly, not dramatically, just genuinely. She turned to go, then paused at the door. "I know I can't undo what I did." "No," I said, "you can't." She nodded once more, and then she was gone. A year passed. The kind of year that doesn't race, but unfolds, slow, steady, like healing should. The salt air still filled my mornings. My beachfront villa had grown lived in, warm. The furniture had memories now. The kitchen smelled like laughter again. And my heart, it stopped racing every time the mail arrived. One evening I hosted a small dinner, just friends, nothing showy. A few wine glasses, candles flickering low, music humming in the background. The sunset spilled across the sky in ribbons of rose gold and tangerine, and I couldn't stop smiling. Lana poured more sangria. "Your fiancé's on grill duty again," I laughed. "He insists he's a steak whisperer." Just then, the sliding door eased open. Kylie stepped out onto the deck, holding a tray of coffee and a soft, quiet smile. "Dessert's up." She moved differently now. No posing, no glancing to see who was watching, just a woman doing her part. A year into her job, now a team lead at the retail branch, and she hadn't missed a single Monday. It hadn't been simple. Trust doesn't rebuild on apologies alone. It grows one task at a time, one quiet effort, one small truth lived out instead of spoken. She helped set the table, nodded politely to my friends, and didn't take the spotlight. Not once. And me? I let her exist beside me, not above, not below. Just there. The sun dipped lower, the waves whispering in the distance, and I let my gaze linger on this strange, tender moment. The girl who stole my identity had finally found her own. And for the first time in years, I felt whole, not because I had won, but because I had healed. Respect isn't owed, it's earned. And peace. Peace is what you build when you finally stop fighting for recognition and start standing in your own light. Have you ever reclaimed something you thought you'd lost forever? Your voice, your peace, your name. Let me know below. I read every story. Sunrise, thank you for being with Rachel through her journey. If this story touched you, like and share it, and never forget, your truth is your power.